After Andrea and I both agreed that we were not going to get anything for the property, we decided to get a brush trimmer and a cultivator. So I actually got Andrea doing the brush trimming around the entrance, so when the septic tank people get here, the DHEC people, they can actually see where they're supposed to go. So as you can see, let me get a little closer. Andre is actually doing a pretty good job with the brush trimmer. So let me pan around a little bit here. So you can see it right there, and then it's just mowing down all this grass. So this is a string trimmer, so it's like a regular handheld trimmer that you would use on edging and stuff, just on steroids. So as you can see, it's just mowing it down. Okay, we are at the site where we want to put our garden. We bought a small cultivator. We're hoping that since this has been farmed regularly for at least 30 or 40 years, probably a lot longer than that, that the ground's not going to be too bad. So I'll find out in a few minutes. Where my chair is a spot that is a natural low spot. So when it rains, water naturally comes and pools in this area just a little bit. What we're wanting to do is stick the garden not in where the standing water is, but just outside of it, to ensure as much as possible we have enough water. So Andrea decided to get me something that I thought I would never ever have, which is a selfie stick. But this selfie stick can also pose as a tripod. So what I want to do is I want to have it up as a tripod, and then if everything goes well, do a little time lapse of me actually tilling. So this is going to be fun. The first part of it, I'll keep it real time, and then if it goes well, then we'll do a time lapse. I don't know if you can see, but Andrea is over in the corner. Let me zoom in a little bit. There's Andrea right there. What we're doing is the DHEC people for the septic permit need to be able to see the ground where the drain field is going to go. So Andrea is using our nice little string trimmer to actually do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set up, I have 4 tape measures with me, so I could actually set up an area. The area we want to do is a 15 by 23 area, because then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Tractor Supply, get a 4-foot high fence that's metal mesh, and we're going to be able to put a fence around the property or around the garden area to keep stuff away from it. And Andrea also wants to try to take some of the climbing things like cucumbers and squash and put it on like a little trestle area. And it looks like we might have neighbors. So that's going to be interesting. All right, so this is attempt number 1 with the selfie stick / tripod and the cultivator. We met the neighbor. He's not the house that we can see from our property. He's the next house over, and his family has owned this area for a long time. So we managed to snag 9 acres out of this. He seems really nice. So we might even get somebody to farm part of this property, so we're not having to maintain the whole thing. So that would be great for right now. So what I'm wanting to do now is I'm going to try to start the cultivator, and you should be able to see my tape measure I have on the ground, and it will tell me how long this is supposed to be. So we're going to find out real quick how actual strong this cultivator is and how hard the ground is. Okay, that went fairly well. Zoom in a little bit. This is what it did. This is a front tine cultivator. I know actual tilling should be done with the rear tine, but the rear tines cost 4 to 5 times more expensive than this. But I mean, look at that. It's just, it's down, I would say probably about 4 to 6 inches. I could probably go a little deeper, but considering I did all that, probably about 4 minutes, I'm going to call that a win. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this up for like maybe a time lapse and see how far we can go with it. So this is the first attempt at the cultivator, and it looks like it ended up being pretty good. Okay, it took about 18 minutes to do the perimeter of the area. So it took about 20 to 24 minutes to do all 4 sides. Now I still have to come up and do everything in the center. I'm taking a break and the cultivator's going to take a break for a little bit. But overall, it did really good. When the ground cover was very thick, it was wanting to bind up a little bit in the tines. But other than that, it looks like it's going pretty good. And depending on how everything is, might all be done today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break for a little bit. I'm going to clean the cultivator up and then go at it again. So let me pan around, see where Andrea is. Andrea's taking a break right now. Let me put the camera up a little bit and zoom in. Alright, you can't really see it from here, but it looks like she's making a lot of progress. There's my truck. There's Andrea taking a break. So you can see where the mower is, and you can see the area where she's been working. So it looks like she's been doing a good job too. Alright, as you can see, I've done about half of this. It took about 24 minutes or so to do all of this. The only other tilling I've ever done has been on really hard clay, and in 24 minutes we would get about 10 feet or so. So you can tell that this ground is a lot more loose than obviously what dense clay would be. So what I'm going to do now is, the gas tank is about empty, so I was able to do about half of this on one tank. So I'm going to fill it up. I'm going to take a break for a little bit, let the engine cool down, and then hopefully finish the rest of it. And I'll see how Andrea is doing over there. While I've been busy tilling, Andrea has been busy with the string trimmer. As you can see, it looks like it got a little workout. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to cut down the brush where we were thinking about putting the septic tank. So she's cut out a nice little swath area where we're wanting to put the septic tank and the drain field. So let me walk down here. We're thinking the septic tank drain field is going to be about 30 by 50. Sorry about that. The gentleman I met earlier, he was going to call the person that's farming the property adjacent to us. Let me pan around. And so all of the property that you see beyond ours is being farmed by one person. And so he's supposed to be on his way over now to talk about potentially farming the back half of this property. And we're willing to let him do it for free, lease it for free, if he can farm it, because it'll be a lot less maintenance that we have to deal with. So, but getting back to the drain field, DHEC says that they need to be able to see the contours. So I'm pretty much convinced that the ground cover that we do have here, they could be able to see the contours. But since the wait is so long, it's been week 5 since we submitted the money and got onto the list. It might be another 2 to 4 or more weeks before they even come out here, depending on their backlog. So what we decided to do is get the string trimmer, so then we can turn around and string trim this area, so then the DHEC people can have a better idea of what the ground looks like. This, because we don't want them to, after like 8 weeks or so, come out here and then say, well, the brush is too tall, and then we have to get on the bottom of the list again. So we want them to come out once. So this is the area that Andrea did. She's been done for a while now. I think she got done not too long after I started the interior part. I think this might be the farmer here. So now everything is looking good so far. Okay, it took a total of about, I'd say 45 minutes to maybe an hour. Now granted, I took breaks in there, and the person that farmed this land last year came over, so he's supposed to come back, and we're going to grid out an area, and then he's just going to farm part of this, so it's less maintenance that we got to deal with. But overall, I would say it was very good. It would take about 3 to 4 minutes a pass. Then it would take about 1 minute to clean the tines, because the ground cover is very thick, as you can see. So that would get wrapped up in the tines. So after every pass, I would have to untangle the ground cover. But all in all, I think it looks pretty good. This is about 15 by 23, which is what we wanted. So it should at least get us for a little while. If not, we know how to make it bigger. What we're wanting to do, this is the far side, is the north side. So what we're wanting to do is get a little bit of fencing and get some creepy crawlies like cucumbers or squash or something, and have them grow up the fencing area. And then once that gets established, then we're going to take things that need shade like leaf lettuce and stick behind it, because this is facing north right now, so if we put that on the back side and put like leaf lettuce or something behind it, it will get very little, if no, direct sun, so it can be able to grow properly. Because leaf lettuce down here doesn't like the hot and sun too much, so it has to be in a shade condition. So I call this a success for the first go around. It didn't use that much gas either. It used probably 0.3, maybe 0.4 gallons for the whole thing. So